Hello, everyone. I call this meeting to order at 3:05 p.m. on March 6, 2019. Going straight through roll call, and of course, I need to pick up the roll call sheets afterwards. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Second? Approving the agenda, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. All right. Motion to approve the minutes. Awesome. Is there a second? Say aye. Aye. All right. Are there any discretionary account expenses at this time? Anyone? Katie? No?
Nope.
Awesome. Okay. Moving on to committee actions with campus and community affairs.
So at our last committee meeting, we were talking about Mental Health Awareness Week, which is coming up April 29th to May 3rd. We're going to have like some of the stuff we did last year was like a wall of positivity, and we put like sticky notes up and we wrote nice things on them, and that was up all week. And we had therapy dogs and massages and an open mic night and stuff like that. So I'll keep you guys updated with what help we'll need from other people, but it would be nice if you guys could all kind of get involved in that, because it's going to be kind of all hands on deck type of thing, and it'll be really fun, and I think you guys will like it. That's all I have to report.
Awesome. Before we go on to the next one, which is so great for us to have one of these on hand, so I'll just do roll call now. That's cool. Senator Bates? Here. Senator Boyle? Here. Senator Syriac? Senator Gasper? Yeah. Senator Glynn? Senator Goggin?
Here.
Senator Gornell?
Here.
Senator Hodges? Senator Killian?
Here.
Senator Mattson? Senator Nguyen?
Here.
Senator Nuri? Senator Oscar?
Here.
Senator Pages?
Here.
Senator Pease?
Good.
Senator Perez? Senator Saney? Senator Sue?
Here.
Senator Sue?
Here.
Senator Suddy?
Here.
Senator Tackenmarble?
Here.
Senator Tamara?
Present.
Senator Tam? Senator Zills?
Here.
Karen Martins?
Here.
Joe Patel?
Here.
Joe Tano?
Here.
Vice Speaker Fowler? Here. Awesome. All right, so we're just going to go back and resume with question 5. Yeah. Awesome.
Oh, I have nothing to report.
Awesome. And SEOC.
So we have a bill here in front of us today that we'll talk in new business, and then President Matrano will talk a little bit about the roundtable yesterday, but I can give some information about the task force, kind of what came out of it. So probably the last 2 or 3 task force meetings we've had this semester, we were kind of really trying to nail down what do the center coordinators and the clubs want as kind of a ground rules type contract for how the space, the work space is going to be. Because there isn't really any ground rules. It's just you do what your club work needs to be done, and view your space as what your space is. But we wanted to create some sort of contract that lays out the ground rules, some basic rules. I don't have the copies with me, but I can send that out to Speaker McLaughlin, and he can send that to you guys for you guys to review. If you guys want to give any comments or feedback on it, that's appreciated. For whoever attended the roundtable yesterday, we're giving like a 2 to 3 week feedback period, so you guys are totally welcome to contribute to that. Essentially, the contract just lays out saying, keep your space kind of neat and tidy, but also at the same time, you can be social, but remember that others next to you are trying to do their work, so not getting too loud where others are getting distracted and can't focus on their work. Other stuff we just reiterated, stuff from the student code of conduct, because we've been seeing different violations of people having alcohol on that side or other violations of the code of conduct, so we want to reiterate that in this contract. When presidents and club leadership and one thing that we put in the contract is that the leadership of the club has to mention and read over the contract with their club, kind of keep it available in the club space, so if someone wants to read it, whatever, it's still available for that. And there's a few other details that are into it, but we can send that out to you guys, and then feel free to contact me or email me about any comments you have about that, about the contract. And that's all to report.
Awesome. Thank you. Moving into officer reports, president report.
Hi, Chris. Hope you all had a good snow day. So on Monday, myself, Vice President Zeno, Trustee Tariq, our 3 chairs, and there were Senate coordinators and others attended the State of the University, which is an address that President Meehan gives about the 5 campuses. He addressed the 2 concerns and kind of things he's going to do about those concerns. Enrollment is going to be down projected. I think it's, Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, like 25%, like a huge, it's like a huge, like 25 to like 30 something percent. People that were there, if you remember the number, but just due to the decrease in students that age, like in the population. It has nothing to do with people not wanting to get a college degree. It's just there's not that many college age students over the next 10 years. So this is obviously a concern. They addressed the Mount Ida merger and said that this is probably going to be happening again and again, just with small colleges combining with bigger universities, or bigger universities just completely taking over these small colleges. Another thing, they're going to be going after adult learners, and with the new UMass Online, to kind of go after those people that don't have a degree. I believe there's 1 million adults in the state of Massachusetts that have some sort of college credit but no degree. 50% of the people with student loans don't even have a degree. They just have credit, so it's going after these people that want to be able to use their credits in some sort of capacity and get that degree and get the end goal that we all want to have, which is no student debt, but at least have a degree at the end of it. The safety walk that I emailed you all about has been canceled. There's not been a rescheduled date just because of the weather so cold. So I will let you know it's probably going to be sometime after spring break. That means it's going to be later and later in the evening with daylight savings and with just having longer days. So I'll let you all know when that will be rescheduled. The Beacon Leadership Awards, which is an award ceremony for students. There's a bunch of different awards categories. There's one for the Undergraduate Student Government Award. So anybody involved in the Undergraduate Student Government Award is eligible for this, or Undergraduate Student Government is eligible for this award. If you feel like there's a senator, a member of leadership, a justice, anybody involved in USG that has done above and beyond their role as what they're supposed to do, please nominate them. You can nominate clubs, so if you are an SEOC or any other committee for that matter, and you've seen a club that has really gone above and beyond this year, nominate them. There's Unsung Hero Awards, General Leadership Awards, Volunteer Awards. You can look at it and you'll be involved. It's right on the homepage, right next to the form that you can sign up to run for USG elections, which is very convenient. So if you have not done that and you are interested and want to keep working on your mini projects and working on things in USG, please sign up to run. The deadline is Friday. If you do not get in, you are not eligible to be a part of USG next academic year unless there's a special elections process. So if you're interested in running for senator, want to run for a higher position of president, VP, you must run together, or student trustee. You can run for any of those 3 combinations. You can run for all 3 if you wish. You just can't put your name as president and VP. Those need to be 2 different names. I have a meeting with Chancellor Newman. Some of you may have heard that there have been some programs hoping to go on the Mount Ida campus. That was completely against what they had originally said the campus was going to be used for, and UMass Amherst wants to put programs on there. So I'm going to be speaking with the Chancellor about what we can do if that is happening and what UMass Boston's kind of stance on that is. And I will let you all know after spring break when that happens. Sorry, that's all to report.
Vice President Ford.
Hello. I hope everyone's excited for break. So we've got a few other things going on in addition to the things that Katie discussed. We had a roundtable, as was previously mentioned, last night. It went really well. We discussed a lot of the different solutions for the 3rd floor space. We reviewed the space contract that Jeff wrote up with the results of the ad hoc committee's discussions and work throughout the past few months. So looking forward, legislation will be going forward, so you will be seeing and hearing more about that. But thank you to those that played a part in the roundtable. We also have upcoming the Students First campaign that we've discussed. Previously, we have our town hall on April 9th from 4 to 6. So what that will be is Katie, Gail, the Chancellor, other members of student leadership will be present to answer questions for the student body, any questions that they have regarding really any concerns on campus. Our purpose in this is to push forth lead presence of the student government and our desire to support students in all of their endeavors. So in addition to this town hall, we're looking to do a number of like showcases on student groups, on volunteer groups, and research opportunities. And
No, well, you can after.
oh, okay. And so that's, if you have any ideas about this campaign or anything like that, come to us. We're open to building upon it, and let us know any ways that we can best support students. But we're hoping to have a good end of the year with this, and we'll follow it up with our mental health week, and then with a big food truck festival going on at the end of the year, hosted by the resident assistants. And finally, we had a meeting with Gail just before this, and we discussed future plans for the campus and hopes for the pump house right near the residence halls, which we hope will be a student-centered facility. But when we know more finalized things, we will keep y'all updated. And that is all I have to report.
Can I go back to my report?
Yeah.
I would just like to wish Dr. Shelby Harrison, Speaker McLaughlin, a happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Shelby Angelina. Happy birthday to you. That's all we have to report.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks everyone, I appreciate that. You all sound beautiful. So, a couple of things, it's been touched on a couple times. Sorry to hammer the nail again. Elections are coming up. I know there are a lot of you that have decided to rerun, which is fantastic. It's like the greatest feeling in the world that you guys have taken a liking to what we're doing here and actually see potential with projects you started or have become oriented in situations on campus and you really want to get involved in them as well. It's awesome that you guys are really taking things on. If any of you are looking to run again or have any other questions, or maybe this year was a good feeler and you're wondering if it's worth your time next year or anything like that, please, I'll be plenty available after today to talk with any of you about anything at all. I think there are some really good opportunities in particularly OER, just because I'm super familiar with it. A lot of the people that are handling things hands-on right now are going to be moving on after May, myself included. So if anyone really wants to take that on and make that part of what they're working on, their committee work, or even beyond that, and just using USG as sort of a pedestal to fight for students' rights, then definitely let me know. We're going to work on setting up maybe some information sessions at a future GA, and then work on some stuff in the fall as well. So just, let me know about that, of course. I would hate to see any of you that are extremely talented and not sign up for elections. It would be a little heartbreaking to say so myself. But I completely understand your decision. OER Week is going on, currently underway. So this afternoon, I had the pleasure of speaking before some faculty, some staff, some students about OER and sort of the why and how of adopting OER on campus and in the classroom. It was a great opportunity. There was some really good dialogue. We were confronted with some questions that are obviously a little bit sort of challenging. There's a lot of time commitment involved with getting into OER and whatnot. So those were great because I love to hear the critical perspective of it. It helps us better prepare our own argument against it again, kind of go back, recoup, and re-strategize. So I think that was really important for us to be able to learn from. So it's a little bit far out, but kind of not, because the nomination cycle is ending on Friday. I think it would be really good, something we talked about before, is to actually have like officer trainings for all of you. This is a little further out, probably definitely after the elections are over in April. But I figured I'd mention it now, just so you can kind of get the thought in your head if you're considering running for anything, any of the officer positions in USG. We are all going to probably host maybe like a training session for each of ours. That's what happened last year. It really helps with getting people involved and getting people familiar with what we actually do. And it encouraged a lot of people to run. We had some pretty heavily contested races last year, so it was really good. So if that's something you're interested in, email me as well. I can't get into like the election side of things too much because I'm on the elections committee, but I can definitely give you advice going beyond that if you have any questions. And that's all I have to report. Moving on to the vice speaker report.
Hey everybody, hope you all have a fantastic break next week. My apologies about the delay on some of the video from last GA, as well as the minutes. I've had a hectic schedule the last few weeks, and they will be coming as soon as I'm able to get them done. But anyway, last week I had the first round of interviews with the CIO search. We had some pretty amazing candidates. We've narrowed it down to a few people who we're going to consider for the next round, and once we have a finalized list, I will again tell everybody at GA who they are and when the sessions for the students to interview them will come around. And other than that, I went to a active threat training yesterday, which was very informative. If you have any questions about that, you can talk to me. I can give you some pointers about what I learned from that. And I think other than that, I have nothing else to report.
Awesome. Student trustee report.
Hello, everybody. So Katie has said to talk about the state of the university and town hall. I don't have any other board meeting coming up until March 27th, and that's administration and finance and audit. And then following that week, we have the board of trustees meeting. But I am meeting on March 21st with the vice president of admission and finance for the UMass system to talk about shared services program, and that's something that the system has been focusing on from the past year or so. It sounds just like what it is. Obviously, UMass, all the campuses are under one UMass system, and a lot of their resources aren't centralized. Resources and departments that can be centralized, so they're putting a lot of effort into it. So I think it'll be interesting to see where that is going. I know they've been working on that for the past 6 months or so. So I'll be talking to her about that. I think it's a great program. Departments or services like payroll and stuff like that. So not like anything huge as of right now. I think they're starting up with it. So that's happening on March 21st. But other than that, I don't have anything to report. After this thing, I will. After the meetings, I will.
Cool, thank you. Chief Justice report.
Nothing to report.
Awesome. Any senator reports? Anything at all? No? All right, cool. So there's no old business, but we'll move right into new business with Chair Patel's bill, which is an evaluation form.
All right, so this is pretty much the same exact bill that we discussed 2 weeks ago. We brought back to committee, discussed it a little bit further, the feedback we got, changed up a little bit of the language, because I think the outlook was some people didn't think it was, they thought it was a little bit more, consequential. They thought it was really targeting clubs. And I think maybe that's just the language attributed to that. So we've changed up the language, called it an event evaluation form hold. It's kind of what the campus and the university uses. It's not just the same thing, really. If you read through it, it's the only other thing we added was that from other feedback we got was having an e-board member submitting the form. But other than that, it's pretty much the same thing. Is that we want the clubs to submit this data, submit the form, and I can show that we have the questions ready, so I can show that to you guys and get your feedback on that as well. But I mean, it's really much the same bill as 2 weeks ago. We just changed the language up a little bit. So I mean, do you want to just? I don't know if anyone has any other questions. We can move on to the voting now and look at the questions after. It's up to you, Mr. Speaker.
No, it's really up to them. Anyone want to go through the actual questions themselves? Just make sure. It really doesn't have anything to do with the bill, because the bill just says that a questionnaire has to be made.
It might be helpful for people to see the context of what a form would be that people would fill out, just so they could understand when they're making their decision.
So, kind of the questions we were thinking about with committee, and then was working with Alicia and Shelby refining the questions. But essentially, the data would just ask for your club name, event name, whatever you called it, and then the date that was held, the location. Now, this is something that's really important: is that did they post the event on UMB Evolved? A lot of outreach happens on UMB Evolved, and we want clubs to use it. So some clubs don't use it, and this is kind of like an introspection point to them as well. So it's like yes or no, and if the answer is no, then how did you publicize the event? How did you market it? What was the overall budget? So how much did you get from SEOC essentially? Did you charge admission to to your event, and then yes, how much. Tracking attendance is something that's really big. Sometimes a lot of clubs, they don't know who's coming to their event. With us having the tap card system and using the computer and the tap card program, you can track who's coming, the names, and you can send them emails and tell them, thank you for coming to our event, here at further events, or this is when our clubs are meeting. So just asking, how do you track attendance? The tap in, did you sign in, or you didn't track attendance? And then just listing how many people came to the event. Did this event meet your expectations? So obviously going into an event, you have certain expectations of how you want it to turn out, attendance, everything like that. So just asking, was it as successful as they thought? And then if not, then kind of giving some more information on it. Did you face any challenge planning this event? Sometimes the weather or location or, something random comes up that, throws a curveball to the event. So, we want to see if, is there anything that we can help out with? Was it campus services was giving you a little bit of a hard time, or was it faculty weren't able to help you plan the event, anything like that, to give us a better idea. And then in the end, just providing any other comments or feedback that is helpful for us to know. And so the idea is for, this is just a draft right now, we'll probably refine it a little bit later. But the idea is that we can, probably every cycle or so, every budget cycle, every month or so, export this data, look at it, see how the clubs are doing, and then kind of using that data and working from there and going from there. So the idea is kind of, for this forum, to have like a soft launch right now in the next coming weeks, just see how the clubs are reacting to it, how the data is looking, and then beginning of next semester, really push it and make sure every club is using this. So if anyone has any questions.
Any questions? I know that there was some questions about the last time we went through it, but motion move to a vote. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor moving to a vote say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, so we are now moving to a vote on Senate Order OCA 2019-S001. All those in favor of approving this bill, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Awesome. Passes. All right. So like the last thing that we have on the formal agenda for today is going to be kind of going through just a broad overview of the Limerick itinerary. It's not really subject to change, but things can obviously flex given how everything's gone so far. So stuff that isn't really mentioned here, Sam, Shelby, and I, as well as some members of the campus staff, are going to be heading over to Dublin first, flying from Boston to Dublin on Saturday night, which means I'm so bad with time zones. I don't even know what time we get there.
5
I was told to sleep on the flight. Yeah. And then, so by the time we get there, we'll spend some time in Dublin. We have 2 universities to meet with, potentially, Trinity College and City College Dublin.
Dublin City University.
Dublin City University and Trinity College that are both in Dublin. So those are going to be more, I think, on like a campus tour situation, and then hopefully we'll get to meet with somebody over there. But even if we don't, we'll try and bring back some valuable information from everywhere we go, because that's the plan. That's the purpose of our going, is to obviously thought share and generate new ideas based off of inspiration from our sister universities. And then we will be in Dublin for Sunday, Monday, and then we leave on Tuesday morning. Then we'll spend the rest of the week in Limerick. So I'll go through the general idea again of what we're going and the basis for our trip. The idea is powerful engagement through thought sharing and inclusive leadership. So something that they do tremendously well is engagement. They always do, they throw and endorse really thought-provoking events and things that are interesting. Just off the dome, they had they have been working to do a lot of like drug PSA situation things, but instead of it being like an anti-drug PSA, it's more like we know you're going to use it, but how you use it effectively, stuff like that. Like really outside the box thinking, stuff that I think we can really bring on campus here, because it's that sort of thought-provoking aspect of things that makes people want to get involved. And I think that might be something that we're lacking on a university level is creating content that people actually want to see and people want to be a part of, and sort of maintaining that momentum. So they're doing really well with all that. So I would love to go and learn from them and see if there's anything that we can bring back. But the purpose of us going is to kind of bring back whatever you want. So if there's anything at all that you think that we can improve on this campus, but we haven't, and there's no real plan to do so, let me know, or Sam know, or Shelby know, and we can put together a plan and try and adopt some ideas from over there. I'm not certain what they're, like, if what you mentioned here, like if parking is an issue, I don't even know if they have a parking garage there or anything like that, but I'll see what I can do. We'll see what we can do to kind of figure out ways to implement best practices here. Yeah, so I mean, anyone have any questions about the itinerary behind me? I don't have a real deep level knowledge of a few of the things on here, but some of it, but Shelby does.
Mary I on Wednesday is Mary Immaculate University. It's another college that is in downtown Limerick, and we went last year, and it was a really great opportunity for the students to meet with some administrators as well as their equivalent of you all, sabbatical officers, and then Anthony and others have really said they want to meet with clubs and organizations when they're meeting. They want to sit in on those. They want to learn what people are doing over there. So in the afternoon and the evenings, Jillian, our contact, said that that's when they're meeting as well. So that's going to be a bit more scheduled as we get there, because they're just making sure that they are meeting and that they'll be welcoming us in. And then we do leave time for the groups to discuss the future project that they're going to implement. That's when you see twinning project plan time. That's so that when we go back to respective campuses, that like last year when we had that mental health awareness, the wall specifically, and the open mic and a few other things, that they know what they're going to be doing on each campus when we return and implementing that plan. And then the CNS ball is their clubs and societies ball. I like to say it's at the Beacon Leadership Awards, and our formal had a baby. That's what it would be. They present the awards to all of their clubs and societies, and they generously invite us to see that event, which makes me feel like I need to do a better job with my Beacon Awards, but it's a really beautiful event. So we'll be joining them for that. And then on Friday evening, the students are going to the International Night, which they open to all international students. They went last year. It's a social, so they can meet and talk with other students in the evening as well. And then we fly out on Saturday.
Yeah, that's a better analysis of what we're doing. Any questions, anything at all? I'll be responsive to email probably the entire time. Kind of responsive to email. It'll be on my phone, hopefully, not racking up data charges, but if you have any questions or anything, or any clubs, if you look on the website, the UL website has a whole bunch of clubs, basically like our UMB involved, and we, from there, chose some clubs that we'd like to meet with, are clubs that are similar to clubs we have here, or extremely different, like totally divergent from what we work on, or from who we interact with, so just stuff to just really learn kind of how they operate, because that's where a lot of our conflict has kind of been coming from, is that the communication between clubs and ourselves. So try and learn as much as possible. So I guess if you have any questions or anything like that,
and again, like if there's something on learn here over there, they are redoing their library. Construction got delayed. It was supposed to be done before the final break or the final exam period, so they can go into the library and study. And construction got delayed, so it would go into their final exam periods, and students were outrageous. So while we were there, the staff officers were having to deal with that and talking with construction people, and it was pretty comical because we get construction delays all the time here. So it was a very normal thing, except their student council and their, so the equivalent of this body actually has a say in communicating with the construction workers and with that, just the way that things work over there. But so it's something similar things, it's all the same issues. So if there's something that you thought you're passionate about here and want to say, hey, does it happen over there? Is it, how do they deal with it? Definitely reach out to Sam and Anthony so we can get you answers, because that's the whole purpose of this trip.
I think you already mentioned this, but can you just reiterate, like, what are you trying to get out of this trip? Like, what are you trying to learn from them that we can bring back here?
Sure. They have an excellent engagement program and an excellent leadership program from the top down, but they also have really good leadership structures set up at all the club levels as well. I think the one thing that we have been lacking on as a USG, but also as an organization, clubs, a set of clubs, is that we all kind of operate in our own little silos, if that makes sense. Like USG does their own thing, and then all the other clubs do their own thing, and there isn't so much, I don't know, collaboration, there isn't so much like thought sharing between everything. They do a really good job of putting on events like the International Night and the CNS Ball that are ultra inclusive, and everyone goes and everyone has a good time, and everyone decides to come again. So that's more where we're trying to see from. If you go on any of their Facebook pages or anything like that, I think their Twitter and their Instagram as well, like they're really good at producing stuff that people are interested in and that people want to come back and see. So if USG is trying to do obviously really good things on campus, it's best to have as much visibility on that as possible. And that positive visibility encourages more people to join, and it snowballs. So that's the general idea, is that's what they do tremendously well. So I would love to learn as much as possible about that from them. Anything else? So we're going to move to open forum. But before we do, just want to give a brief reminder to everyone. And this is not targeted or anything like that. If you are ever asked as a senator to endorse something using your USG tag, you are not allowed to unless a resolution is passed through USG. So that's like the OER resolution that I passed here, or that we all passed here, was that if you, now you can speak and say that you're a senator and as a representative of the student body that you can support OER. If anyone asks you about anything like that and it starts making you uncomfortable or whatever the case may be, just ask me, ask Katie, any of them. Like no one should be really bullying you or trying to gain your support for anything really without the formal practice in place. Katie's the only one who can speak on behalf of the entire USG and the entire student body and endorse things, yes or no.
Without a resolution, so if there's something that's urgent, reach out.
Yeah, so just a brief reminder, I know it's kind of, it sounds like I'm like, I don't know, talking down or anything like that. I'm definitely not. You're all higher than me right now, so I'm not talking down anymore. All right, so moving on to open forum. Yeah. If you want, you can come down and speak.
Okay,
before everyone.
great.
Hey everybody, my name is Sarah Bartlett. I have a bit of a cold, but I'll try and keep my voice going through this. By day, I'm the associate registrar, and on the other part of my day, I'm the vice president for the professional staff union. And I'm really grateful for allowing us to come and speak. This is
Tom Goodkind from CSM Machine Shop, and I also represent the professional staff union.
I promise you, I'm going to try and persuade you to do something, but I'm not here to bully you. But we hope we can get some of your support. So we're here today to talk to you and bring you up to date a little bit on the parking situation on this campus. As you know, there has been a struggle going on around parking for quite a while now. The unions have been very involved in negotiating for almost over a year at this point. And the classified staff union and our union, the professional staff union, we have gone through bargaining, mediation, fact-finding, and we're now coming up to the last month of bargaining. We have been working closely in coalition with our sisters and brothers in the classified staff union, with the graduate employees, and with students who are concerned, obviously, about what's going on. So it's been an ongoing struggle. Apart from what's been going on at the negotiating table, I'm sure you have all seen our flyers and our tables and the petitions and the rallies and the different events that are going on. So often this struggle is sort of shorthanded to we're fighting against a parking fee increase. But what we're really fighting for is an equitable and fair and just parking system on this campus that doesn't penalize students and doesn't penalize the lowest paid members of our staff here. I think, I don't know how many of you have like gone to any of the town hall forums with the chancellor? But she has publicly stated that the university's position is that the lowest paid should pay the least, that students should pay the lowest rate, and that no one will be forced to pay what the daily rate, which is really the cash rate that they're charging at the Bayside and at the New West Garage. But in fact, what's come across our tables is very different from that stated commitment. The proposals that they're putting forward actually cost staff more than faculty, the lowest paid staff. They actually cost students more than what tenured faculty are paying. They talk about, for students, they talk about, yes, you can buy the semester pass. But as associate registrar, I happen to know that over 50%, about 56% of students don't come to campus 5 days a week, right? I think if you've ever tried to do your schedule, a lot of you try and get Tuesday, Thursday classes, Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes. If you're not coming 4 or more days a week, that pass is not in your economic interest. You're actually going to find that you're going to end up paying the daily rate, as well as a lot of the other students. And that's true for staff too, because they've also taken away in their proposal the multi-use pass. I don't know how many of you have made use of that, but that's something that offers a discount if you're not coming every day of the week. So we find ourselves now in a position that in this next month, we are going to be bargaining hard to try and get a better offer from the administration. I can't say that we're overly optimistic about that. We are concerned. And we are working very hard to try and get the administration to really put its money where its mouth is and to provide an equitable system. Their whole insistence on having these rates that they want to impose on us is really coming from their insistence that somehow we are responsible for paying off the full debt of the garage. So before any increases came into being on this campus at $6 a day, and with the multi-use passes and everything else that was in place, the basic operational cost for parking on this campus was at about $2.5 million. Through that old system, the parking system, they raised about $3 million. So it was paying for itself. The difference now is they want to add to that bill a $3.9 million payment toward the debt. And they're saying that we are the ones who have to pay that. The unions have not said, no, you cannot raise parking rates at all. No, we are unwilling to consider anything. In fact, we've put through a proposal that actually increases the revenues that they would be getting to about $5.3 million. So we've gone from what was $3 million to offering them basically $5.3 million, but there's still a gap between the 5.3 and what they want, which is closer to 6.8 million. We think that's a gap that can be filled in other ways. It doesn't have to come out of your pockets, and it doesn't have to come out of the pockets of staff who are making $40,000 a year. You're probably aware that Bayside has just been sold, right? There's a large infusion of cash coming in. There are lots of efforts happening down at the State House to try and address the legacy debt that this campus is carrying. There's nothing in the university that prohibits them from actually drawing from their operating budget to help pay that debt. So what we're saying is, let's come closer together, right? We can help get you some more money. We understand that the costs may need to go up, but let's be true to the values that you espouse. Let's be fair and equitable about this. Let's make sure that people on this campus, the people that you say should pay the least, really are paying the least. That the students are not paying more for their parking on this campus than a tenured faculty member who makes a couple $100,000 a year. That's really what the struggle is about right now. So, I'm here to ask you, I hope, did you all get the open letter that the union sent to the chancellor? I know it was going to be distributed.
Yeah,
I have copies here too if people need them.
Sure. Yeah.
Anybody want a copy? Anybody else?
Does anyone have any?
Anybody? Why don't I just pass it around, okay?
Let me just add one, while Sarah's
Yeah.
passing them around. As of yesterday, we've submitted a new proposal, that's the classified staff union, professional staff union, which actually brings the revenues up from our proposal to 5.8 million. So at this point, we're talking about a gap of $500,000 a year. The difference in those proposals is that our proposal keeps low-paid staff and students below what high-paid staff and what tenured faculty are paying. So it's a much fairer system. And I think ultimately, that's what we've been fighting for, is more equity in the parking fee system.
Thank you both. Any questions or anything like that? If we can do a couple minutes.
It was my understanding, so last semester the fee didn't increase because of this bargaining process that was happening, and then this semester they went to the $15 a day because part of the bargaining was over. Is that correct, or was I misunderstood?
No, you're not misunderstood. So they have settled with the faculty staff union,
Okay.
and then they based what students are being charged on that settlement agreement, and they had already staff here who were not represented by unions. They also changed the rates for them. But professional and classified staff, while we are going through this process, are not being charged those rates. We are still being charged the old rates until we have concluded the bargaining process.
Any other questions? Senator Shetty?
So you said that you are in your last month of bargaining. What happens at the end of your bargaining period?
If we do not reach a mutually agreeable settlement, the university can impose their last best offer. And that's based on a year's worth of, both trying to negotiate over what the process will be as well as what the details will be.
Any other questions? Senator Shetty again.
Yeah, I have a few. I'm sorry. Their last best offer, I'm assuming, is the current rate that they're trying to impose on the parking rates. Right?
We don't know. We go back to the bargaining table tomorrow, and we
Okay.
will have a better sense then as to what they pass across the table. As Tom said, we've modified our proposal a little bit from the one that's in this open letter to the chancellor. And so we will see whether management will modify theirs.
I don't have the letter in front of me, but is your proposed parking rate in here? Is it? Good for now.
Okay.
I'll come up with things over the weekend.
Any other questions or anything like that?
I do.
Oh, yeah.
Would there be some need for renegotiation once Bayside is no longer able to be parked at, or would this be locked in for?
Good question.
That's a very good question. Thank you.
Yeah, one of the agreements we have is that when 421 spaces at Bayside are no longer able to be used, because we think that'll happen relatively soon, that'll gradually, we'll gradually lose Bayside. They have to return to the bargaining table over the impacts of that with the unions. And one of the key things we want to preserve, which is something we've tried to preserve through this process, but the administration has been unwilling, is to maintain the same ratio of lower cost spaces to higher cost spaces, as well as the same ratio of discount between the two rates. And management has been unwilling to commit to maintaining those ratios, but they do have to return to the table to bargain. So we will be back at the bargaining table again, I'm guessing within a year. And in any case, our contracts all open up within a year. And parking rates will probably be on the bargaining table again. So we're going to have to suffer through this again, I'm sad to say. But we're trying to do right now by both our lower paid members and students. And one of the things I had to say about that is, in relation to what Katie brought up, what they did was they said, this is what we're going to charge faculty, and so this is what we're going to charge students. So for example, the 504 semester pass for Bayside and the 550 semester pass for the West Garage is what they're charging, well, for all on so-called on-campus parking, including Block D. That's what they're charging faculty. But faculty get to buy those passes on a pre-tax basis, which means they get at least a 20 to 25% discount on that pass. And the more the faculty member earns, the greater their discount. Whereas students don't get that. So students are effectively paying more for those passes than faculty are. And this is problematic for us. It's also true with our staff who are, earning 40,000 or less, or 40 to 50,000, that they would get burned with this.
All right, I think we might have time for one more question. We gotta kind of keep the ball rolling, but yeah, sure, Senator, please.
Since you guys are actively engaged in this issue, have you noticed a decrease in people who actually park since the hike? So when it was 6, there's less people now as opposed to then.
Yeah, I'm one of the lucky few. I don't own a car and I can take the T, but every report we've heard is that the university has been noticing a substantial decrease in the number of people
And
parking.
since then, people are actively seeking out alternatives.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I'm sure probably our neighbors in Savin Hill are thrilled by that.
We know that for a fact. I mean, they said across the bargaining table, Kathleen Hurley said that they've noticed that revenues have gone down. And this is not a surprise to us, and we know lots of staff, I don't know whether this is true with students, we know lots of staff who are finding parking elsewhere, maybe taking the T1 stop or walking from Savin Hill.
So had they maybe not raised it to 15, maybe just instead of 6, made it 7, they might even notice
Yes.
more money and
Yeah.
more
Right,
use,
exactly.
as
I
opposed
think
to a contrary effect.
That's
Past
right.
that tipping point
Right.
where, in fact, they may lose revenue.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. We hope that you will support us in some way. I know we can't propose a resolution, but if there were ever a resolution, a statement of support for these efforts, we would be most grateful.
Sure. Yeah, and I'll get both your emails afterwards too. I can distribute their emails in a follow-up email to all of you if you're interested in, talking with them or anything like that. You guys can do that.
So,
Thanks
thank you
a
guys
lot.
very
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else for open forum? Yeah, sure.
My name is Brian Graves. I work for Sojourner Collegiate Ministry, which also happens to be a student organization here on campus. Every year, well, we've only done once, but we wanted to do this an annual thing. It's called Rise Against Hunger. There's also an organization, if you want to Google them, they'll tell you everything about them, but their main thing is to eradicate severe hunger across the world. And this is an opportunity for students and staff together. What we're trying to do is raise at least $3,000, and this organization will bring in the food in bulk. So it's like several tons of rice, dried vegetables, and vitamin packs and those sort of things. And we all put it into these. Last year, if you saw us, we were by the cafeteria around April 23rd. I think it's April 22nd last year, and we put together, well, this represents 3 meals, but we put together 10,000 meals that day, and all 10,000 will go to other countries. I think most of our meals last year went to Puerto Rico, and most of the meals that are done here on the Eastern board goes to Africa. But any organization, anybody can have these. If they go through a natural disaster, you can have them. They're given out to orphanages, to nursing homes, to schools, and to countries that just can't feed their population due to natural disaster or whatever. But we want you guys to be a part of it. You guys can come. We're going to do it April 23rd. That's Milk Packing Day. But we also have a meeting before that, which is the Tuesday after spring break, which is March 19th. And you guys are welcome to come. If you're interested, I've got some note cards here, business cards that you can have. But we want you guys to be involved. We want to invite everyone. Everyone can play a part. If you want to be more part of the plan, come on March 19th, and we'll tell you a little bit more how you can get involved with your student organization.
Awesome. Yeah, so if anyone's interested in that, well, they're not supposed to bring cans. So the drive, the goods drive for you access, if anyone wants a blanket, just bring in 6 spices or whatever. I can probably extend it to Friday, but Friday's probably the hard cut. Yeah, so just like go to the supermarket and pick out like 6 things of a right one. Okay.
Great blanket.
It's great.
It's great.
It's a great blanket. We have enough for everyone.
Let's be excited. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Spices. Right?
Yeah, so that's that. And then also OER, real quick, yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Hannah. I'm a regional organizer with MassPert Students based in Western Massachusetts, but came here today to work on the OER presentation that Anthony and student government helped put on for the faculty. I wanted to do a quick announcement that if anybody is interested in working on open textbooks or affordable education in any way, I'd love to work with you all on that campaign, both this semester and also anybody that's continuing on next year as well. And then also wanted to make just a general announcement about our 100% renewable energy campaign. I don't know how familiar people are with that, but we're actually having our statewide MassPert Lobby Day on April 8th in conjunction with the Millennial Summit Lobby Day for 100% renewable energy, and also mentioning our other campaigns like hunger and homelessness and open textbooks. So if anybody is interested in being involved with that or learning more about that as well, I'd love to speak with anybody afterwards. Great, thanks.
Thank you. Anything else?
Just one quick thing. President Trump talked about it earlier today, but the Beacon Leadership Award, so especially for my committee, I think I messaged you guys about this last night. Anyone else, we should try to think of clubs that we can nominate. Obviously, within my committee, we work very closely with the clubs. So the deadline's extended to this Friday, so we should try to think of some club, or if you have a club in mind that you think deserves this award, make sure to put in their nomination and do so before Friday. I think it's really important for us to recognize the good work and what these clubs are doing on our campus for the students. So really give it some thought and think about a club that you think deserves this award and submit their name for the nomination.
Two things. Again, just to echo, if there is anybody here that is interested in writing a resolution of support for this parking, I would encourage you to do so sooner rather than later, since terms are coming to a close and the end of the year comes very quickly. So just make sure if that's something you're interested in, still haven't thought of a mini project idea and you're running again in USG, that'd be great. I know that there are plenty of students and members of the UMass Boston community that would appreciate it. Another thing, I did want to give a small shout out, I forgot about in my report, to Senator Goggin and Senator Nori, who isn't here. They both have been working on a mini project with the Every Voice Coalition, which is a student grassroots organization to fight against sexual assault on college campuses that I've been working with as well. And they both attended a summit last Saturday, the 23rd, that was 200 students there. Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley was there, Speaker of the House Robert DeLeo was there, with a bunch of other state legislators that were there for all of these students to kind of come together and show the state that this is something that students aren't just going to keep quiet anymore. So I just wanted to give my appreciation, and really you guys should look up to that model of they kind of found a mini project. It didn't have to be something on campus, however, it directly impacts students on campus. And I just wanted to publicly thank, Miriam's not here, but she'll get the message, publicly thank them and say how proud I am of them, and that you guys as senators, although your term is coming to a close, this is something that you can do to finish out your term on strong note, so thank you.
Awesome. I think you guys know the rules.
Motion to adjourn.
There's been a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Opposed, nay.